The anime opens with the Demon King summoning what are said to be the four strongest generals in his demon army. The first is Aladora, the warrior of hell. The second is Silid, the grand mage of storms. The third is Gnome, the earth fortress. Lastly, there is a newly appointed general who appears shocked and bewildered by his sudden arrival, Fuchimura, the director of operations, who turns out to be the protagonist of the story. The scene shifts to Uchimura's past. He was once a simple office worker, full of hope and ambition to achieve great success. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. His colleagues were promoted one after another while he remained overlooked and unappreciated. A turning point came when his manager transferred him overseas to a factory still under construction, an infamous location known as a graveyard for failures. Uchimura moved to the new town with a glimmer of hope. When he reached out to his manager for help, he was met with anger and accusations of wasting company resources. Despite this, Uchimura refused to give up. Determined to succeed, he poured all his efforts into revitalizing the factory, doing everything himself from organizing to cleaning and more. Over time, his hard work paid off. The workers began to respect and support him, and the factory started to thrive. Just when things were finally improving, an unexpected blow came. His manager decided to transfer him to another factory in a different country. Devastated, Uchimura questioned the purpose of his efforts. One day, while lost in thought on the street, a motorcycle suddenly hit him from behind. In that moment, he found himself transported to the realm of the Demon King. At first, Uchimura believed he had landed in hell. The Demon King welcomed him warmly, calling him by name. Shocked, Uchimura asked how the Demon King knew his name. The Demon King confidently replied, "Of course I know you, I summon you here." He explained that after reviewing Uchimura's professional history, he was certain Uchimura was the perfect candidate to become the fourth general in his army. But Uchimura, still conflicted, responded that joining the Demon King's army sounded like a descent into the depths of the underworld. However, the Demon King interrupted, assuring him, "I'll provide you with all the benefits and perks you could ask for. You'll have complete freedom to choose anyone you want to work under you, and your salary will match that of top executives in your world." Uchimura was taken aback by the offer, struggling to process what he was hearing. The Demon King added, "If you're not satisfied, I'll send you back to your world." Relieved by the Demon King's respect for his autonomy, Uchimura began to reconsider. The other generals, however, protested. They voiced their disbelief that a weak human like Uchimura could ever become a general in the demon army. Uchimura thought to himself that they were probably right, but the Demon King remained unfazed, declaring, "If all of you object, then we'll put him to the test." Uchimura was stunned. The Demon King explained, "If he passes the test, none of you will have any grounds to object." Mandora, driven by her fascination with the supernatural powers of individuals from another world, decided to test these claims herself. She launched a devastating attack on Uchimura. Before her attack could land, the Demon King intervened, halting her assault. When Mandora demanded an explanation for his interference, he calmly pointed out her tendency to lose control when angered. He directed her attention to Uchimura, who had collapsed from the overwhelming shock of the incident. The onlookers, stunned by the scene, expressed disbelief, noting that Uchimura was nothing more than an ordinary human. The Demon King affirmed this fact, prompting Mandora to question how someone so ordinary could hold the position of one of his generals. Despite her objections, the Demon King stood by his decision, explaining that Uchimura's presence in the army was deliberate. The Demon King acknowledged the internal challenges within his forces, but emphasized that Uchimura's intelligence and strategic thinking were precisely what the army needed. The Demon King revealed that Uchimura's first test would be to secure an agreement with the Minotaur army. This revelation left Uchimura stunned, comparing the challenge to the difficulty of a high-stakes job interview. The Demon King informed Uchimura that he could turn to Mandora for assistance if needed and left him to face the daunting task ahead. Mandora interrupted his thoughts, announcing their arrival at their destination, a massive door, which she identified as the entrance to the Minotaur leader's chamber. As the door creaked open, Uchimura was overwhelmed by fear at the sight of the towering Minotaur leader. The leader's imposing figure made Uchimura doubt whether peaceful negotiation was even possible. Sensing his hesitation, Mandora offered to help, sharing some tips on negotiation. Uchimura felt a brief sense of relief, but it quickly evaporated as her abrasive approach immediately angered the Minotaur leader. Observing the chaos, Uchimura silently concluded that Mandora was ill-suited for diplomacy. After leaving the chamber, Mandora explained that the negotiations had initially been going well but collapsed when the leader outright rejected the proposed conditions. She admitted to multiple failed attempts to negotiate in the past and, in her frustration, blamed the Minotaur leader for being unreasonable. Turning to Uchimura, she declared it was now his turn to handle the negotiations, leaving him speechless and unsure of how to proceed. Standing alone, Uchimura questioned how he could possibly persuade such an intimidating creature. In his uncertainty, a memory surfaced of difficult negotiations he had faced in his previous life. During challenging times, he would retreat to a quiet tavern to clear his mind and find clarity. Recalling how he had always managed to overcome obstacles, he steadied himself, drawing upon his past experiences and resolving to succeed in the negotiations, no matter what lay ahead. The focus shifted to the Demon King, where Mandora provided an update on Uchimura's situation. The Demon King, maintaining his composure, expressed confidence in waiting to see how Uchimura's negotiations would unfold. Later, Mandora stumbled upon Uchimura surrounded by piles of trash, rummaging through the mess as requested by the Minotaur leader. Several filled bags sat neatly beside him. She remarked on how quickly he had taken control of the negotiations. The following day, Uchimura entered the Minotaur leader's chamber. Mandora, unable to suppress her curiosity, decided to check on the progress. To her surprise, the room was filled with heaps of the Minotaur leader's trash, but neither Uchimura nor the leader was present. Confused, she speculated that the negotiations might have failed, prompting the leader to leave. At that moment, Uchimura appeared calmly, explaining that the Minotaur leader was with the Demon King finalizing the agreement. Mandora, baffled, demanded to know what had happened. Uchimura revealed that the agreement had been completed the previous day. Stunned, Mandora questioned how he managed to strike a deal with someone so notoriously stubborn in just one day. Uchimura explained to her that she had misunderstood the situation. She believed the Minotaur leader was rejecting the negotiations, but in reality, the negotiations were progressing smoothly. The issue, he said, was the negotiation approach. He shared an experience from his past with a client who initially rejected everything, but later agreed once trust was established through clear, passionate, and emotionally driven explanations of the terms. Uchimura pointed out that the failure in Mandora's negotiations stemmed from the Minotaur leader not understanding the terms or the purpose of the negotiations. He also highlighted that the straw requested by the leader was an important gesture of goodwill in their culture, as the Minotaurs used straw to accommodate guests, sleeping on it to avoid overcrowding their rooms with furniture. The leader had been frustrated because he couldn't sleep comfortably on the ground. Hearing this, Mandora felt a pang of regret, realizing that the failure had been due to her inability to understand the Minotaur leader. However, the Minotaur leader interrupted, admitting that the fault was mutual. He hadn't understood her negotiation style either and apologized to her. They shook hands, reconciling their differences. The Minotaur leader then expressed gratitude to Uchimura, thanking him for making the agreement possible. At that moment, the Demon King appeared and praised Uchimura's unique talent for identifying unnoticed problems and resolving them effectively. He then formally welcomed Uchimura as a general in his army, declaring that no one could doubt his abilities after the success of this test. He turned to Mandora, who, though reluctant, finally agreed with the decision. The Demon King then asked Uchimura to extend his hand. He presented him with an emblem symbolizing his status as one of the 4 generals. After putting it on, Uchimura was instructed by the Demon King to always act decisively and do what he believed was right without hesitation. Uchimura felt a deep sense of pride and pledged to fulfill his role with dedication. Mandora, in her usual sharp tone, asked Uchimura to raise his hand. When he seemed confused, she scolded him and explained that this was their way of welcoming new comrades. She then declared that she hadn't fully acknowledged him yet and demanded that he prove himself further by succeeding in more negotiations. The Demon King concluded by stating that the army was still incomplete and had many issues to address. However, with Uchimura leading the way, they would advance and achieve greatness.
The anime starts with our hero, Lloyd, being utterly humiliated in front of a group of nobles. They laugh hysterically as he's forced to cast a spell before meeting his doom. He casts the weakest, slowest spell imaginable, and it doesn't even faze the nobles, causing them to laugh even harder. Just when things are looking dire, a royal goon decides to end it all with a fireball aimed straight at Lloyd's face. However, instead of feeling despair or rage, Lloyd is strangely exhilarated by the pain, as he's always dreamed of having this much power. He's totally into it until he suddenly vanishes in a puff of smoke, leaving nothing behind. To everyone's surprise, Lloyd wakes up in a completely new world, surrounded by a group of girls. He begins flexing his magical abilities and putting on a dramatic show of power just to look cool. As the story unfolds, Lloyd discovers that he's the 7th prince of a kingdom, and the capital is absolutely thrilled to have him. Years pass, and Lloyd grows up in a peaceful and prosperous kingdom, though he continues to be a bit of a troublemaker, much to the frustration of his maids, who have a hard time tracking him down, especially since he looks like a girl for some reason. One day, an old man, who's part of the royal staff, wonders if it's worth connecting with the youngest prince, since Lloyd has little chance of inheriting the throne. But the old man soon reveals some shocking news. Lloyd is a magical prodigy who started casting spells literally right after birth. In fact, he even refused to nurse from his mother, showing just how much of a gentleman he is. Oh, and he launched a fireball the moment he was born, earning him the title of the Father of Sorcery. However, there's a twist. Lloyd is actually just a regular guy from his past life who's been reborn as the 7th prince. Now, in this new life, he's on a quest to gather more magical knowledge. One day, while browsing through a poisonous spellbook, his maid wife Silpha, who's not just a maid, but also a badass swordsmanship instructor, finds him and snatches the book away. Silpha has been teaching him how to fight with a sword, and to everyone's shock, Lloyd is already keeping up with her. Despite his progress, Lloyd dismisses it as a waste of time, since he has little chance of becoming king. However, Silpha insists that a royal should be skilled with a sword, too. Trying to show off, Lloyd performs a move that impresses Silpha, but secretly, he's using cheat-level control magic to direct her attacks. Being the skilled sword fighter that she is, Silpha immediately notices something's off and beats him with a flawless move. She's impressed that Lloyd is using 2 spells at once, a feat even experienced mages struggle with, though Lloyd isn't about to admit he's actually using 4 spells. Later, while taking a bath, Lloyd's 2 personal maids inform him about the Forbidden Library, where a demon named Grimoire is sealed in a book. Lloyd is instantly excited about the idea of forbidden magic, and that night, he sneaks out using his invisibility spell to avoid the guards. The library door is sealed by the 10 most powerful mages, but Lloyd opens it effortlessly, as if it were a child's toy. Once inside, he dives headfirst into the magical world of books, but then surprised the demon Grimoire awakens and tries to intimidate him. The demon offers Lloyd gold in exchange for freeing him, but Lloyd dismisses the offer, saying he's seen better gold at a dollar store. Grimoire sweetens the deal by offering ancient magic knowledge, and Lloyd eagerly accepts. After unsealing the demon with his magic key, Grimoire immediately tries to attack him, but Lloyd already has a barrier in place. Grimoire starts throwing fireballs, which excites Lloyd, even though one of them burns his finger because for him, pain equals progress. Lloyd begins synchronizing multiple spells, growing more and more hyped about learning new magic. Grimoire tries to escape, but Lloyd traps him with barriers everywhere. The demon is stuck, and Lloyd decides to end things by casting an annihilation spell. But somehow, Grimoire survives, since demons can't die from magic. Lloyd then restores the underground library in the blink of an eye, impressing Grimoire with his godlike power. Grimoire, now seeing the potential in Lloyd, decides to join his squad. But since his appearance is too menacing, he transforms into a cute little goat to charm Lloyd. Lloyd, now with an adorable pet demon goat, agrees to let him stick around, but warns him not to mess with him. With a bottomless pit of mana at his disposal, Lloyd, Grimoire the demon goat, and an endless array of magical shenanigans set the stage for the kingdom to watch out. This kid is about to rewrite the rulebook on what it means to be a royal.